The supermarket cart looks like one of the simplest objects ever invented, but its design quietly changed what people bought, how stores were built, and how much money shoppers spent. And the strangest part? At first, customers refused to use it. Before the supermarket cart existed, shopping was limited by something simple: how much a person could carry. Customers walked through early grocery stores holding small baskets, and every item added more weight. A few cans, a bag of flour, some vegetables, and the basket quickly became uncomfortable. At that point, shoppers faced a choice. They could stop buying, return to the front, or leave products behind. For store owners, this was a major problem. Demand might be there, but the customer's arms created a physical ceiling on every sale. This mattered even more as supermarkets began to grow. Stores were offering more products, larger aisles, and new reasons for people to browse. But the shopping method had not evolved with the store. Customers still carried their purchases exactly as they had in smaller neighborhood markets. The store could display hundreds of items, yet the shopper might leave with only what fit into one basket. The limitation shaped buying behavior in ways few people noticed. Heavy items were avoided. Extra products felt inconvenient. Impulse purchases became less likely once the basket was full. Even when customers wanted more, the discomfort reminded them to stop. In other words, the biggest obstacle to higher sales was not price, advertising, or product variety. It was weight. Store owners tried simple solutions. Some offered larger baskets, but larger baskets only became heavier. Others placed clerks to help carry purchases, but that required more employees and slowed the process. None of these ideas solved the real issue. Shoppers needed a way to move more goods without feeling the burden. Then one supermarket owner began watching customers. He noticed the same pattern again and again. People filled their baskets, struggled with the weight, and headed toward the checkout before they were truly finished. That observation led to a question that would reshape retail forever. What if customers no longer had to carry their purchases at all? Sylvan Goldman, the owner of a growing supermarket chain in Oklahoma, understood that this physical limit was costing stores money. One evening, while looking at a folding chair, he imagined placing a basket on the seat and adding wheels beneath it. The idea was almost embarrassingly simple. Instead of forcing customers to carry everything, let them push the weight in front of them. With the help of a mechanic, Goldman created a metal frame that could hold two wire baskets, one above the other. It folded for storage, rolled through the aisles, and allowed shoppers to collect far more products without strain. From the customer's perspective, it promised convenience. From the retailer's perspective, it removed one of the strongest barriers to spending. A shopper who once stopped after filling a single basket could now continue moving through the store, adding cans, produce, household goods, and items that were never part of the original plan. The invention did not make products cheaper or more necessary. It simply made the growing purchase feel lighter. Goldman believed the cart would be an immediate success. It solved an obvious problem, reduced effort, and gave customers more freedom. He placed the new carts near the entrance and waited for shoppers to embrace them. But instead of excitement, he saw hesitation. Many people walked past them. Others looked uncomfortable or even embarrassed by the idea of pushing one through the store. Goldman had created a practical solution, but he had underestimated a far more powerful obstacle: human pride. The problem was not the cart itself. The problem was what people thought it represented. Many men refused to use it because pushing a metal frame reminded them of pushing a baby carriage. At the time, some believed that accepting help with a basket made them appear weak or incapable. They preferred carrying heavy groceries with their own hands, even when it meant buying less. For them, convenience was not worth the risk of embarrassment. Many women were equally resistant, but for a different reason. They were already familiar with pushing baby carriages and did not want to repeat that experience while shopping. The new invention did not feel modern or liberating. It felt like another household burden placed in front of them. Some shoppers also distrusted the unfamiliar design. They had never seen people move through a grocery store in this way, so the cart appeared awkward, unnecessary, and socially uncomfortable. This reaction revealed something important about product design. Solving a practical problem does not guarantee acceptance. People do not judge inventions only by usefulness. They also judge how using them might make them look to others. Goldman had successfully removed the physical weight of shopping, but he had replaced it with a psychological weight. The carts remained near the entrance while customers continued choosing ordinary baskets. The invention that seemed capable of transforming retail was being ignored because shoppers did not want to be the first person seen using it. Goldman now faced a problem more difficult than engineering. He had to change not the cart, but the meaning people attached to it. And to do that, he would use one of the most powerful forces in consumer behavior, the desire to follow what everyone else appears to be doing. Goldman realized that explaining the cart's benefits would not be enough. Customers did not need more information. They needed proof that using it was normal. So he created a scene designed to change what shoppers saw the moment they entered the store. He hired men and women of different ages to walk through the aisles, pushing the new carts as if they had been using them for years. Their baskets were filled with groceries, their movements appeared natural, and no one looked embarrassed. Near the entrance, an employee encouraged hesitant customers to try one. At first, many still refused, but as they looked around and saw other people using the carts comfortably, the object began to lose its strange appearance. It no longer seemed like an experiment. It seemed like something everyone else had already accepted. This was the power of social proof. People often decide what is safe, appropriate, or valuable by observing the behavior of others. When no one used the carts, shoppers feared standing out. Once several people appeared to use them without concern, refusing one became the unusual choice. Gradually, curiosity replaced resistance. Customers tested the carts, discovered how easily they could move heavier purchases, and began filling them beyond the limits of a handbasket. What had started as staged behavior quickly became real behavior. Goldman had not changed the design. He had changed the social meaning surrounding it. The strategy worked because it removed the fear of being first. But once shoppers accepted the cart, retailers discovered something even more powerful. Its size could influence how much a customer believed was normal to buy. Once shoppers accepted the cart, the supermarket itself began to change around it. Wider aisles became more valuable because customers needed room to move larger loads. Store layouts expanded, shelves grew longer, and retailers could display more products without worrying that shoppers would stop after filling a small basket. The cart did more than carry groceries. It increased the amount of space customers believed they had available to spend. That extra space changed behavior. A nearly empty cart created the feeling that the shopping trip was incomplete, even when the customer already had everything they needed. Larger packages, family-sized products, bulk offers, and impulse items became easier to add because the physical weight was no longer felt. Retailers learned that the size and shape of the cart could quietly influence the size of the purchase. The effect reached beyond individual stores. Supermarkets could now serve families buying for several days or even weeks at a time. Parking lots, checkout lanes, packaging, and promotions were redesigned for bigger shopping trips. The modern retail model of filling a cart, moving through departments, and making one large payment became normal. That is why the supermarket cart changed retail forever. It removed the shopper's physical limit, increased the store's selling capacity, and transformed convenience into higher spending. What looked like a simple metal frame on wheels became one of the most powerful sales tools ever placed in a customer's hands.